everybody on this panel is extremely passionate and active, and they're for us they're the prime examples of what it takes to do an advocacy organization in your community. So, you know what? We'll start with Monique.
Okay.
Monique, give us your name, your location, your project, and a little bit about what it does.
Hi, I'm Monique Buchanan. I've been a real estate broker for the last 18 years. I acquired a property in the city of St. Louis, Missouri. It's a 45 unit transitional and emergency housing facility for women and children, and now we're accepting senior citizen males. The facility was created because there's such a huge need for housing, and affordable housing is like non-existent. So we did. We were only able to do 25 of the units out of 40 because of funding, but we're fully occupied the 23 units that we do have. But it's just been it's a great facility. I've seen a lot of women and children. It's a safe haven, a lot of healing, a lot of families getting wraparound services such as counseling, medical. I've collaborated with medical facilities. Mental health is a huge issue that needs to be addressed. So we're implementing a lot of mental health needs, and we're located in St. Louis, Missouri. Jen.
You know, going on the last panel on the last day, and we talking about all this stuff with, first of all, I'm Jennifer Martin. I am the executive director of Shattered Ceilings. It's a nonprofit based in Prince George's County, Maryland. And it's a grassroots organization. I have no funding. I do everything myself or with the donations that I get. But just talking about connecting with the community, I've heard a lot of good things in this room, as always, every year. But I focus on bringing those conversations outside of these rooms because people tend to, stay in their silos outside of here. So that's me.
So my name is Martin Mason, and I started an initiative Kevin suggested. I started an initiative, and I did, in New Jersey called the New Jersey Policy Initiative. It was born out of my my anger and frustration with government contracting in the state of New Jersey.
One brick. We didn't even lay one brick, not one, right? So I would say this, what could you do for us? Have your eyes wide open. Work harder than you've ever worked. Listen, when I got called in for the heart transplant, I was second for this heart, I was on deck. I was a plan B. The heart was supposed to go to someone else, but they needed the lungs and the heart. And they said, Martin, listen, when we open up the donor body, sometimes 50% of the time, the lungs won't work. In that case, it goes to the plan B person, you're plan B. So I'll never forget when I got that call. We're at the hospital, prepared and waiting, and the call comes, and they say, Mr. Mason, good news, the heart is yours. Now it's going to be a whirlwind of activity. They're on the way to come and get you. So good luck. And when they said that and I got off the phone, I knew they were going to lay me down. I knew they were going to take me out. I knew they were going to open up my chest, pull out my heart, and put another heart in me. I had already prepared for that. I knew what was going to take place. My thoughts were these. It wasn't about me. I looked up at my significant other, my beautiful girl, Kathy, and I thought to myself, did I do enough for you? I thought about my kids. I said, did I do enough for you? I thought about my community. Did I do enough with the time that I had? Did I do enough for you? When I thought about God, I said, God, did I do enough for you? So I said at that point, if my eyes open, the next time I'm laying on my deathbed, I will not have that in my mind. I'll have nothing but a smile on my face because I'm going to do, if I should open my eyes again, I'm going to do everything I can to take care of what's important. And black people are important to me.
Thank you.
So Thaddeus, who just left, always makes a joke that one year he came to the summit after he just had hip surgery. So he was on crutches, and his hip replaced. And he said, and I thought he was gonna give me kudos, which I did give him kudos. But it turns out Martin was waiting for a heart transplant, and he was still here. So I was I was only the second most dedicated person in the room. But Jennifer, you made a joke about this being the last panel of the day. This is the last panel, mostly because it's the most important panel, right? Because at the end of the day, everyone always says to me, Kevin, you hear all these complaints all day long. We've been complaining about stuff, and so what are we going to do about it? And I would say, well, what people wouldn't really mean when they say, what are you going to do about it? They really mean, what can we do that doesn't cause me any trouble? What can we do that doesn't cause me any stress? How, I don't want to suffer to do any of this stuff. But you guys are doing what, you guys are the example of you are the answer to the question, right? What does it take? Monique's invested over $1 million worth of her own money to build a facility for people. You travel, not only do you do the work in your community, you travel to other communities. That's how we got to Monique's house. Martin's done the last year and a half, he's changed New Jersey politics and policy for the better. So that's why this is the last panel. And then after this, we go into action. We have letters that we've been writing. We want people to co-sign. So that's why this is the last panel, and why we close out the show with this. So thanks for the setup, Jen. That was good. So, so again, a lot of people, they get into this space, they think, oh, there's all this money. We're going to raise money. You heard the guys before say, we're going to raise crypto money to buy houses. So I'm like, okay, so let's. But it's the reality is tell a little bit about how much did it take? I mean, you and your mom own the mortgage on your house. I'll just give you the mortgage.
It's basically, it was, so initially I met a older person, and he asked me to purchase the facility to do something positive with the facility, but unfortunately he lost his position. So then I had to start from the bottom. And as I tell people, before I used to hear people say, I got it out the mud. Now I understand what I got it out the mud means. But, as the journey was going, and, I like to give honor and praise to God throughout the journey, because it was a lot of times I wanted to give up. But every time I would want to give up, it would be a stranger, some lady, some family pulling up during the construction time. Like, when are you going to be open? We need somewhere to live, and people living in cars. And these weren't poor people. These were people, things just unfortunately happened, like the tornado or companies relocating. And, and while I have this opportunity, I would like to say that my prayer is that we all collaborate more. I see a lot of division even within our minority community. And I just, I really, really want to stress why I have this opportunity, the importance of collaborating. Jen, she's doing everything on her own. I met her. She sent my foundation a donation, and that provided beds for some of the people in the facility. And thank you, Jen. That was such a blessing. And just for somebody in a whole nother state to reach out, that really touched my heart, and I thank you for that. But while I have this opportunity, and I know, like some of the other speakers, in Missouri, I've had the opposite, where some of the people who look like me are the ones who didn't help. And it was people who didn't look like me who helped more. So I don't want it to just be about, it's not always about race or color. I feel like as a minority collective, we have to intentionally collaborate, brainstorm. We have to, like Jen, $5, $10. It could start from very little to grow, and we have to collaborate, and it's so important. Can you give a little bit about what you've done, Jen?
I've done a lot. I've done some focus groups with Kevin and Brady. I've had a couple different community forums where we talk about youth homelessness, education, the lack thereof. We've had a career workshop. All those people over there on that table, that's my family, my nieces and great nieces and nephews. So, so it's very important for me for like representation is very important. So my family's from down south, so I grew up in a different set of morals to make sure you take care of your community. Because there was a lot of cousins that ain't cousins, but you know when they was hungry, my parents fed them. When they needed clothes, my parents made sure they was taken care of, and we just try to carry on that. And even and I take them everywhere. So this summer I'll be partnering with Tracy's a good connector. She connects everybody. She the glue, really. Human Rolodex. Give it up for Tracy. And this summer I'm partnering with a young lady, and we're doing a STEAM pilot program, before session program for youth ages 9 to 15. So we got that going this summer. In a couple months, I'll be doing an era to era luncheon where we have, you know, the different generations, intergenerational, have conversations, because that's the thing that we don't do anymore is have conversations. And a lot of times y'all be up here on this podium. I don't know what the hell y'all talking about. Sorry about that. But, you know, I got to go back and Google some things. And, you know, y'all help me learn, and I go ahead and take it back to the community and break it down a little better. And, you know, we just grow from that. So it's all about growth for me. So I do a lot of different things. Wherever I feel like there's a hole that needs to be filled, then we put things in place to make it happen.
Martin?
I would say advocacy for me, explaining it as easily as I can. It's all about, and you see it on the stage, when the rubber meets the road, right? It's all about don't talk about it, be about it, right? It's all about when you come to these rooms and you sit here and you see all these different issues that we all have, and we thought about it, and specialists and talk, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's great we're talking about it, but the rubber needs to meet the road, right? We built the car. Now, what's the engine? What drives this thing, right? And what drives it is really simple. Now, the people who are in power today are in power not because they're the billionaire class, not because they have the money, but because they use the money to do something. They use the money to fool a bunch of people into voting for them. That's what they use that money for. Well, we don't have money, but we have each other. We have a voice. We have some ears we can speak into, right? So as simple as I can put it, Kevin comes to me and says, Martin, you should do this thing, whatever. And so I invite some people. I find one small string that's important to me, and I pull on it. And I find other people who are just like me, and I kind of tell them what's going on. So I pull that string. That's me. And so then Kevin tells me to start writing people about certain things. And so I get 5 people. You can do the same thing. You can take one small string that you find that you have an expertise in and pull a string and write somebody and get 5 people to sign on. And then write another letter to the same person about the same issue a month from now and get 10 people to sign on. And do it again and again and again and keep adding people. And eventually, that person you're writing to, when they see 500 or 150 people on the same letter from you, you're not going to have to call them. They're going to call you. Like, it's not hard. It's not rocket science. It's not. It's getting the information, telling the people about it, and getting them to do what needs to be done. It's so much harder than it sounds. It's heartbreaking. It's heart-wrenching. It's depressing. It crushes me sometimes to think, I know what to do. It's easy to get it. It's just sign this. But then I call people and they want to know from me, what's in it for you? Why you want me to do it? What's in it for me? It's trying to help you. That's what's in it for me. Helping you is helping myself. Don't you see it? Don't you understand it? So advocacy to me, it's like I said, it's a heartbreaking thing. But it's something that I'm involved in now and I can't stop, right? Because little wins along the way change the whole game, right? If I know I can help, and again, it was about my relationship with death's a little bit different than most people. The thought of death, because I've been there many times, and I know I feel blessed to have another day. And so I know what it's like to lay down and think you're going to die. And so what's valuable to me at that moment is, what have I done? What have I done? Not what kind of car do I have, not what kind of clothes are in my closet, none of that. It's what have I done for other people. That's what it's all about.
Thanks, Martin. I don't even know which I want to ask, because we're running out of time, and I want to get to the heart of this. I mean, I will say this about everybody, everyone on this table, everyone in this room for the most part. I know all of you for the most part personally are committed to this. I mean, Wendy, Martin, we all flew down to Houston together for an event. And some of the people who aren't here today, Marquita, we all flew down to Houston to help Rob to work at an issue in what's it called, Acres Home. Jen, how many cities have you in the last 4 months? You've been to 5 cities, traveling around the country. I think so, 5 cities, right? So that is the hard part of this process. That people think this is easy, and it's not. I mean, especially if you don't have there are a lot of conservative groups that have tens of millions of dollars in their bank accounts. So some of this is easy. They can charter a plane. They can just, everybody on here has to figure out a way what their budget looks like to make it happen. But they invest in this process, because things won't change if the law. We've had some debate about whether we need to change the laws or not. But if your alderman won't help you, if your congressperson won't help you, you can't get help. I mean, the country's not built for us to. This is not the 1830s where you can move to Wyoming and live off the land. I mean, you have to. This is a place where Bill Cunningham said people in Altadena are going to lose their house because they can't get the government to do stuff that they do for everybody all the time. Someone called us a couple weeks ago about a letter. The Congress wants to pass a bill that would increase the FDIC limits of insurance limits from $250,000 to $20 million. Right? That means they're preparing for a banking crisis, and they want to make sure they want to do a pre-bailout, so they don't have to do a bailout. They're putting the money in the system automatically, right? So somebody's lobbying for that. That didn't happen by accident, right? In fact, I was in a meeting with the person who's the chair of the committee, and he was against it 2 years ago. Now he's passing it. So that means people have been working with him. We don't have to spend a lot of time. You guys, people could talk to you. I always tell people, if you want to know the best way to organize your community, talk to Martin Mason. Right? Okay. Martin has organized. I mean, he's done his videos. We've done, how many meetings have you done in New Jersey? 5 or 6?
5, I think.
5, and he's got a mailing list now of 5,000 or 6,000 people on his email list. He does videos. I mean, he turns out probably 5, 6 videos a month, just telling people about issues on his YouTube. And
more interesting than anything to me is, Kevin said to me, "You have these meetings. Don't expect a lot of people to come." So that's what we do. But almost in every meeting, we found another powerful person who's like me and like you, who has a focus on something. So now it started off with that one string I had. Now somebody told me from East Orange, New Jersey, about this housing situation in East, and he's been living in East Orange for all these years and all these problems, and he's motivated and wants to work and wants to do things. So I said, all right, so we'll do it. So another person from Newark, New Jersey, government contractor, Newark, New Jersey. This guy, he's been around since the 1970s, Hispanic gentleman, advocate, goes way back in Newark. He said there's an ordinance on the books that says when these companies come in to build, and they're building like crazy in Newark, New Jersey, redevelopment. He said when they come in and they get these tax abatements, there's an ordinance on the books that says 51% of the workers have to be from Newark, and 30% have to be MBEs or whatever, right? On the books, literally on the books, just not being enforced. And it's true. Like we did an Oprah request for some of these new projects, and I'm looking at them. I was in New York the other day. They're doing 50-story high rise, and I'm watching the workers come down. I saw one black person, one with a construction hat, one in Newark, New Jersey, probably 70% black, 60% black, 80%, 90% minority in Newark, New Jersey, with that law on the books. So he's working with us. So now I'm in Newark, I'm in East Orange, I'm with the Port Authority, I'm with Jersey City. I mean, all these different things just from pulling that one little string. So pull a string. Just pull a string and watch what happens.
So, Jen, want to say anything else?
Thank
No?
you, Martin.
I just wanted to say, you know, what in advocating was heartbreaking for me is a lot of people, until something knocks at your door, people look the other way. I want all of us to be more accountable and to stand as one when things are not right. Because, like how he's advocating, he needs a team behind him. We have power in numbers. We must stand together as one. And in what I've been dealing with a lot of times is I'm in a lot of different rooms, and I have to learn to navigate in these different rooms because a lot of times it's only a person that look like me in the room. And, I stay true to my beliefs. I'm representing for all of us. And, a lot of times it's very, very difficult when you're in those type of situations. But just be accountable for, and what drives me to do this is safety of children. A lot of things like, why I got into the affordable housing community was because a lot of things that we don't talk about that goes on a lot is child abuse, incest, molestation. It's bad. And we have to do better. And like Jen has her nieces and nephews, kudos to that because it's a blessing to even have young adults to sit to want to learn or have the patience to come, So I thank you for that. And it's just very important for us. And I just want, if anybody anything that I've said today, just remember there's power in numbers.
Just to piggyback off of that, I know a lot of times we always focus on they, but if we were in our communities and focus more on we, as in like what we can do to be solution focused, that would help a lot. And that's all I want to say.
Well, it is 5 o'clock, so we're past time.
Thanks.
I want to thank everybody for coming. I know it's been a long, grueling 2 days. We tried to cut as much content out as we could, but there's a lot to cover, as you guys can imagine. So tomorrow we're going to be on the Hill. We're going to do our roundtable. We're doing a town hall on government contracting, so people should show up if they can. We're going to talk about the disparities in contracting, because we're never going to get rich if we keep ignoring the government. The government makes everybody else rich. There's nobody. Bill Cunningham will tell you, no one gets rich without the government, so we have to stay engaged. And with that, we're going to have this sign on. Brady will organize people to get that they want to sign on the letters, show them the letters we're sending out. We got probably 7 or 8 letters we're sending to either the Congress or state governments.
We'll do that electronically.
You're going to do it electronically instead?
Yeah, I think that there's just not enough people left,
Okay.
and we want to do it as
One big group.
organizing. And to be honest, I'm worn out. I'm totally honest. So
Well-
we don't have to go another hour.
Okay. Good. So then with that, we will officially end. Oh, Jennifer, going to say something?
I just want to say thank you again, Kevin and Brady. You guys always put on a good show. And I learn something every year. And I tell you, I call these guys for anything, and they're always willing to help. And you don't find that a lot. You know what I mean? And they come out every time and support whatever I need. So I just want to say thank you so much.
Thank you guys. All right, that's it. Thank y'all.